bad boys, what you gonna do when they come for you? I want you to meet General Major Ivan Popov, the commander of the 58th Army of Russian Armed Forces, the army that has been stationed in Zaporozhye province of Ukraine. The general's call sign is Spartacus, and he proudly calls his troops, well, his former troops, my gladiators, and generally has a reputation of a fair commander who cares for his people and fairly honest guy. Why I want you to meet the General Major Ivan Popov? Why am I telling you of General Major Ivan Popov? Because Ivan Popov is a sign of a huge problems for Russia's president, Vladimir Putin. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. For the first 30 or so minutes, I give you message of the day, and then invite to carry on to a live stream chat. What you will not find on this channel and in today's stream is propaganda, BS, or lies. What you will find is common sense, logic, and truth, and some emotions, because I am a human being after all. Well, let's talk about the mutinies, the insurgencies, the rebellions. I know we recently talked a lot. I talked a lot about that, and we watched in awe how the owner of Russia's best army, the private army Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, Putin's cook, staged a mutiny. I would say pretty successful one, and he traded the end of the mutiny to lots of money and all kinds of bonuses for himself. That happened 3 weeks ago, and Russian government, Russian propaganda has been trying hard to paint a picture of it's being over once and for good, once and for all. And they have been downplaying this whole thing, the significance of it. It's like as if nothing happened. But that's Russian propaganda for you. But then General Major Ivan Popov pops up. Why is he so important? Well, basically, General Major Ivan Popov was recently fired a few days ago for just very, simple, very non-important thing, very insignificant, very tiny little thing for speaking up the truth. We learned afterwards, but, we learned about Popov's existence because not too many Russians knew of the General Major Ivan Popov, and, not too many Russians know of Russian generals in general, no pun intended. But General Major Ivan Popov recorded and shared the address to his troops. The address was made public to the Russian public, to all. The address where he blamed the Minister of Defense, Shoigu, and the Chief of Staff, Gerasimov. He blamed them for firing him unfairly after he being fed up with incompetences of the military commanders and terrible situation at the front lines. He basically spoke up his mind and spoke up the truth and gave the true report of what is happening in the Russian-Ukrainian war. So basically, he started speaking the truth. And he did not say how great things were. He didn't say how many billions of Ukrainians were killed. He didn't say how many millions of German-made Leopard tanks were destroyed. Instead, he spoke of how bad things were at the front lines. And boom, he was fired just like that. Because that's one of the things you don't say in Russia. You can go to prison for that. It's kind of hard to arrest the word general, 3-star general, general major, but it's not, the truth in Russia is not very welcome. So after being fired, Popov addressed his people, well, his former people, his troops. Again, his call sign is Spartacus, and he calls his troops are my gladiators. I quote Ivan Popov. The servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine could not break through our army from the front, but our senior chiefs have hit us from the rear, treacherously and viciously decapitating the army at the most difficult moment. There was a difficult situation with the senior management where it was necessary either to keep quiet and be generous and say what they wanted to hear, or to call a spade a spade. I had no right to lie in the name of you and in the name of my fallen combat friends. So I outlined all the problematic issues in the army on combat front. His message was about 5 minutes long. I just gave you a small part of it, but I think you get the picture. That's what General Ivan Popov said. I wonder if you have followed the events happening in Russia in the last couple months. If you have, do these words remind you of someone else speaking recently? It certainly does remind me. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the owner of private military company, private army, ЧВК Wagner, said those very same words many times before. Before he went rogue, invaded Russia, captured 1 million people city, Rostov-on-Don, easily in no time, took Russia's top generals hostages, downed multiple Russian Air Force aircraft, killed 15 pilots, and moved into Moscow, well, right next to Moscow, about 200 kilometers away from Moscow, with the intent, public intent, to topple Putin. And this guy will, what he's done will go into the history books forever as the March of Justice, okay? So he said the very same things about the chiefs of Russian armed forces before going rogue, before his mutiny. Prigozhin's mutiny was ended by money. Vladimir Putin agreed to pardon Prigozhin and pay enormous amount of Russian taxpayers' money to him. He basically bought his way out, okay? After Wagner's mutiny, I said in the streams, in the multiple videos, that was only the beginning. The Wagner Mutiny was event that opened the door, the floodgate, okay? After all, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that was very bad news for Vladimir Putin. Wagner's mutiny showed everyone that's fairly easy to take over Russia. You just gotta have a few thousand armed people, men, and strong guts. The mutiny showed that the president is weak, and all he can do now is to buy his way out, nothing else. He's not strong enough to crush his enemies in opposition. So he can't fight his way out. He can only buy his way out. Not good for Putin at all. Most importantly, it showed that Putin will betray his servants to save his own skin. Just as he betrayed Russian army by forgiving and pardoning Prigozhin and his troops, who killed 15 servicemen, 13 pilots, and 2 border patrol guards. Moreover, later Putin insulted Russian armed forces by meeting personally with Prigozhin and all his top commanders. I believe the rumors have it there were 32 in the Kremlin on June 29th, just a couple days after the mutiny ended. And later, he started pretending like no tragic events happened to the Russian armed forces. What a slap in the face to the Russian army, to all the generals, to all the servicemen. Wow. And now, 3 weeks later, Russian war general, one of the best and most respected, is stepping into the shoes of Prigozhin, Wagner's owner, and openly addressing the troops, stating that Shoigu and Gerasimov, just wait a little bit, not just Shoigu and Gerasimov, the Minister of Defense, #1 guy, the only next one to Putin, and the Chief of Staff are traitors. They have betrayed him personally and the troops and Russian people. Well, what's the difference between Prigozhin and this guy, Ivan Popov? Prigozhin is a convicted felon, a scumbag who recruited most of his troops in Russian prisons. The scumbags out of scumbags. Prigozhin was alone in his in his conflict with the Russian armed forces, in his fight against the system, sort of David against Goliath. Only David without God's help, okay? David from Sodom and Gomorrah. Ivan Popov is different. He's experienced, smart, fair. He's charismatic. He is loved by his troops. He is the war general, respected by his troops, loved by his troops. Ivan Popov is the Goliath himself. Disclaimer here, don't get me wrong. I personally do not consider Ivan Popov a good guy. No. In my eyes, he's a criminal. Just same criminal as the other generals who are fighting Ukrainians, killing Ukrainians. He is the invader and the killer of Ukrainian people. He made his choice, and he picked darkness, the side of the darkness over the light. So this is my personal opinion of who he is. But according to many people in Russia, he's better than the other generals. At least he's honest, and he treats his people fairly. He draws much respect from his troops, the Gladiators. So Popov publicly addressed his former troops, telling them they have been betrayed. And you understand, it's not just the troops he addressed, right? His target was much wider audience. How did he do that? He's not a public person. He doesn't have Telegram account. He doesn't have social media. How his words, his message, flew all over Russia and around the world? Well, he doesn't have social media, but he has something better. He has friends, and he has 58th Army Brotherhood. Former commander of the 58th Army, Andrei Gurulev, also general, is a Russian senator now, the member of Russian parliament's lower chamber, and pretty influential senator, let me tell you. Andrei Gurulev is a very public person, and he supported his brother, General Ivan Popov, and published Popov's message, Popov's address, in his Gurulev's Telegram channel. And that message has flown around Russia and around the world. Gurulev's Telegram post caused such a huge splash that actually it caused a scandal inside Russian parliament. Following his message, the parliament bosses, whoever they are, whoever the puppet masters are, whoever's, pulling the strings, they have obliged all senators of both upper and lower houses to get approval of chambers heads of any message to be released into the public space, okay? So much of Russian senators representing Russian people, their voters, since they must get approval of what they say from, whoever is above them. Definitely not the people. But that's just a little off topic. So I believe what Popov said. I believe that there are huge problems in Russian armed forces. I believe that there's a lack of munition. I believe there's a lack of troop rotation and lack of artillery support. I believe that he is absolutely spot on. I believe that Shoigu and Gerasimov have betrayed Russian soldiers by ordering them to kill Ukrainians, and they have betrayed Russian people. What's happening now, what we're seeing is the boiling point. Russian war general, and this is why I named my stream that, another mutiny is brewing. More mutiny is brewing. More mutiny is coming. Okay, this is why. Let me explain. Russian war general is so upset now. He's so fed up that he starts telling the truth in the kingdom of lies. He starts telling the truth where telling the truth is a very dangerous ordeal. He starts getting the truth where he can get decapitated or fall out of the window for that very easily. And you know what? He gets fired immediately. No wonder, the very same day. Because no one in this country needs the truth now. Not Putin, not Shoigu, not Gerasimov, no one. Moreover, they consider, and I think it comes from Putin and all his friends and, including Gerasimov and Shoigu, they consider that everyone who speaks the truth and criticizes the current situation in the Russian army, on the front lines, in the government, is an enemy and a traitor. Moreover, they consider everyone who speaks up the truth a potential insurgent. They remember Prigozhin too well. Therefore, everyone who speaks the truth, a potential Prigozhin, must be prosecuted and put into place immediately. But why does the war general, or actually, I don't think that this guy, Ivan Popov, is alone. So why do war generals start speaking the truth all of a sudden? Let's think about it. Let's use common sense and logic. There's only one reason. They are fed up. They understand what's going on right now, and it's the way to nowhere. They understand that the lives of many Russians are on the line, that lots of Russian troops will be dead if everything goes unchanged, and their lives probably on the line too. Something must be done. That's what they're thinking, And the first step is to inform everyone of the problems of the existing situation. Not sugar-coated, millions of enemies dead, the evil Americans supplying combat mosquitoes and combat mosquitoes killing Russian soldiers and so forth. No. The first step is to inform everyone of the problems, real problems that exist. And then my bet is that the next step is to try to solve the problems, God forbid. Then they're fed up, they start speaking up the truth, and they are immediately prosecuted. Chick, the head is gone. Because if you take the general and fire him, discharge dishonorably, his life is pretty much over, right? Well, guess what? Firing generals or other commanders or high officers does not solve the problem at all. Moreover, the problem worsens. The troops they are also fed up along with the generals. They are angry, and once their generals that they respect and love get fired, then the troops get angrier. They get more fed up. They see the unfairness of the situation. And that is the vicious circle. That's a very dangerous situation that is happening right now. Further, what's going to happen further? More mutinies, more insurgents, and later, the next step, complete disintegration of Russia's armed forces. It's imminent. It's coming. I think that Ivan Popov's situation is very, very, very serious and very difficult for Vladimir Putin. It is a sign. It's a sign that the Russian army is at its boiling point. The troops are unhappy, and the generals are unhappier. I mean, if you stand up and speak the truth in a kingdom where truth is punishable, it means you are very unhappy and you have no other place to go. That's last resort, so to speak. And if you think that General Major Ivan Popov was the only one unhappy and angry and fed up, and only one speaking of the truth, I highly doubt that. In the army, you have brotherhood, you have camaraderie. He was just the one who who stood up and made himself heard. But I am pretty sure there are other armies and there are other war generals, his buddies, his colleagues, his former classmates, alumni from the same military school. They are with him, supporting him. You see, the army is the strongest and most reliable pillar of this vertical of power in Russia that Vladimir Putin has created. The Tsar always relies on his army, to protect his power. It's not just the current situation, current occurrence. It's always been like that. The first mutiny was happening 3 weeks ago, and everyone, Prigozhin and ЧВК Wagner were moving on to Rostov, and later they were moving on to Moscow, and everyone was expecting that Russian army would step in. Because if Russian army would step in, then the mutiny would be over, okay? So the army is considered the last resort, the last pillar standing, so to speak, the last force to protect the powers. But what if the army is the one rebelling? What's then? For Vladimir Putin, situation is critical right now. At this point, there are 3 prerequisites for Putin's close soon collapse. And just 4 or 5 weeks ago, there was only one prerequisite. And all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, and the mutiny, Prigozhin's mutiny, definitely helped that. All of a sudden, there are 3 prerequisites, okay? So his situation is getting more critical week by week. Number 1, Putin is weak. He does not act. He does not have teeth anymore. If someone openly stands up and moves on to Moscow to topple Putin, killing Russian armed forces, servicemen along the way, Putin doesn't do anything. The best Putin can do right now is to buy his way out. Putin is weak. He does not act. He does not punish. He does not fight. He is weak. And I'm going to repeat it 5 more times. He is weak, 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 weak. Number 2, we are seeing that the army right now is very angry, It's angry to the point that the generals start speaking up. Even though they know that they might get fired or worse, they still stand up and start speaking up. This is a true sign that something is very rotten in the kingdom of Denmark, in the kingdom of the Russian army, okay? And, I mean, it's right there on the surface. Ivan Popov spoke the truth. There's no munitions, there's no rotation, the soldiers are thinned out, there are no people, there is no artillery support, the army is basically falling apart. So the army is getting angry. Something's gonna get done, but nothing is getting done because Putin, Gerasimov, and Prigozhin are doing their thing, and whatever it is, no one knows. So the army is angry, and this is very bad for Putin, very good for us, very good for Ukrainians. And number 3, Russian army all of a sudden starts having supporters among politicians. Remember that Senator Gurulev? How many more former generals, Russian senators? Many. I'm telling you, there are many, many, many. And all of a sudden, it's not just potential insurgents acting by themselves. First of all, they have support, unspoken support of the troops. And guess what? The Gladiators, they have already stood up and they released a statement. Basically, statement goes like this: hands off our general, or you're gonna regret it, okay? I'm just being very general, but this is the same idea. So the generals, people who speak up, they have very popular support of the troops. And that's a pretty mighty force, my friends. They have the support of the politicians on top. And at this point, we don't know who among the politicians are supporting. We know that there are some, but they can be names, very big names, And that is the prerequisite number 3. 3 very bad signs for Vladimir Putin. And it's a clear sign that his days are numbered. And something bad's going to happen to him. Well, what's next? I'll be very brief. I think that next is the deal making. And it's actually not next, it's now. What's now? The deal making. There are players on the Russian political scene, okay? And the players are the agencies. Remember a couple streams ago, I explained what Russian vertical of power consists of. The agencies, siloviki, those with power, KGB, military, police force, office of attorney, prosecutor's office, attorney general's prosecutor's office, and those who have right to use force against civilians and are armed, okay, the siloviki. But siloviki are different agencies and they have different agendas and they are run by different people with different plans and different personal plans with different desires, and what I am absolutely sure what's going on right now is the deal making. Everyone sees that Putin is weak. Everyone sees that army is boiling right now. Army, is at the point where no one knows what's gonna happen, and they see that the army that has supporters among in the top echelon of political power, and they are making deals. They are sharpening swords right now. They try to form alliances. They try to plan out roadmaps for the future. They try to outrun each one of to make unions and become and outcompete other unions. This is what's happening right now. And we're seeing it. It's felt in the air, okay? Nothing is calm right now. Things are boiling, okay? The biggest questions everyone is trying to answer right now, making these alliances, is when, who, and how. I wonder if Vladimir Putin understands what's happening right now. I wonder if he understands what's going on behind his back. If I was him, I would be very, very concerned. I think I would be scared. And I think I would be, I don't know, I would be praying, I guess. My friends, thank you so very much. This has been my message of the day. And I would like to invite everyone to carry on to the live stream chat, where I'll try to answer your questions if you have, if you have any, and just converse. Thank you so very much for coming. This is an honor to have you. Thank you. And while I am turning the live stream chat on, I would like to ask you a favor. Would you please help Inside Russia by making reposts of what you just heard of this message in your social media accounts? That really helps to spread the message throughout YouTube and throughout internet. Thank you so very much. Also, liking this message and subscribing to the channel would be nice. And if you would like to buy me a coffee or become a patron, I would love that. I wouldn't mind at all. Thank you so very much in advance. The chat is on. In case you're here for the first time in this chat, I want to let you know that we have the best moderation team here. Lorna, Mommy, Bob S., Harry Potman, Prince Amir, and Blackhead are the best mod team in the world, hands down. And they are here to prove it. And I am here to prove it too. And we also have the best community. The usual suspects, people who come every day, and I'm so glad to see everyone, the usual suspects. Thank you for coming. Again, this is my pleasure and my honor. If you want me to see your message or your question easier, so I answer it, please put it in caps and put Inside Russia after @ so it appears highlighted in a large orange box. Thank you so very much. Highlighted in a large orange box, just like Blackhead did. I'm sorry. It's too much talking. Anyone just joining today's stream, howdy, and welcome to Inside Russia. See how it's nicely highlighted in orange. Thank you, friend. Fantastic to see you. Thank you so much. John Abira from Liverpool, howdy. Jeffrey S., after knee surgery, howdy. Hope you're feeling better. Welcome, we missed you, and where have you been hiding? Please come back. MacFun, thank you so much for coming. You are the sponsor of the channel. Thank you for joining, and thanks for the support. Another good song, Sinnerman by Nina Simone, could also match now. I've never heard of Sinnerman, and I, to my shame, I'm sorry, but I have not heard of Nina Simone. But thanks for, I'll listen after the stream. Thank you. Kelvin, another sack of red potatoes. Love those. Thank you so much. The sack of potatoes taken. I appreciate. Thank you very much. I'm going to pour some of the great tea called Twinings English Breakfast Extra Strong. Very flavorful. Very, very... the way the tea should be. I'm not sponsored by Twinings. I just love the tea. Jeffrey S. is doing good. Well, you'd better be. You'd better come back soon. Well, you are back, but you know what I mean. Come back completely. Salieri M. Congratulations on being monetized again on YouTube. I was demonetized in May, and pretty bad. It had lasted for 2 weeks, 10 days, I think. 10 days or 13 days. And then I got monetized. I have not heard from YouTube, from Google, why they demonetized me. They did not explain. They just took it out for a couple of weeks and that's it. But yes, monetization has been back for a long time. Thank you. White Lightning 777. Warthog Defense Channel says 9 generals are fired or transferred out, and VDV is threatening to walk off the battlefield if the generals are fired or harmed. Well, this is exactly a part of my message when I was telling you that if you think that Ivan Popov was alone, think twice. No, he wasn't. Not 9, but 13 generals. 13. The numbers are growing. And you're right. VDV is threatening. And they have been, like I said, there have been public addresses saying, hey, hands off the generals or you're going to regret it. And trust me, when armed people, part of armed forces, very experienced fighters, fighting in a war, saying that to Russian politicians, I mean, I would listen. Thank you, White Lightning. Agnes, thank you so much. Sending my love from Tashkent, Uzbekistan to you. Thank you so much. You are a Deep Inside Russia sponsor. Much appreciated. That's a higher tier. A Diamond, welcome to Deep Inside Russia. So much appreciated. You're also at higher tier. Thank you. Appreciate it. Erald Johansson, thank you so much from Norway. Thank you. Fantastic country. Enjoy increased revenues from what used to be Russian oil, Russian natural gas, I'm sorry. I have complete trust in Nordic people, Norway people. I think that you will take that money and you extra revenues and you will put them into very, very good use. So use them. Agnes, thank you so very much for your support. No message, but this message is pretty powerful and pretty strong. Thank you. And Shmoopy, thank you for being such a great fan. Thank you so much for supporting. Leonard B, and also thank you so much. You're just no messages, but these messages, trust me, they are received very well here. Much appreciated and much welcome. Money is welcome, but the fact that you send your support, not just in words, but monetary support, that means also so much. Just the fact, MacFun from Switzerland, thank you so very much for huge support. The best thing for Ukraine would be as long as possible fighting between the different forces of the Siloviki. You're absolutely right. And you got to understand one thing. The focus will switch from Ukraine into inside Russia, into Moscow, into the Kremlin, into Siloviki fighting each other. And this focus will be permanent. It will not return to Ukraine anymore. It's shifting already, as you see, okay? That would put the war in Ukraine in the background. Yes, exactly. Even if this will be a bad time for the Russians themselves. You know what? Time to pay, my friends. Bad for the Russians? What the hell? They've been sitting on their asses for 15, 16 months, doing nothing. Every time I ask them what's going on, everything's normal, everything's fine, Everything's usual, business as usual. Well, no, business not going to be as usual very soon for them, So I don't care if it's bad time for them. They're going to be paying for decades and generations. That's going to be very bad time. Sorry for being emotional, but this is there's a string inside of me and you touched it. Wayne, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Antipods, welcome to Inside Russia, new sponsor. And I forgot. I think it's Micah, right? Micah. You told me how it's right. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for granting sponsorship to 20 people from me and from 20 people, thank you so very much. Trying to remember. It's so difficult. That's the most difficult thing in English for me, to remember how to pronounce names right, because names, they don't follow grammar rules quite often, you know. Mika, right? Anyway, I'm sorry, and thank you so very much again. Agnes, thank you for giving 5 gifts of membership to 5 people. Thank you so very much. Vahe Kaliskian from Chicago. Howdy, howdy. Joao Morenos, hello. Eileen, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Kifi, we need a strong Russia with a leader. Thank you. I'm not cut to be a leader of any country. I'm not a politician. I'm happy with being a father, a son, you know. Ed, they did that with several war-related channels at the same time. If you meant demonetization, they did it to a few thousand channels, not just war-related. The war-related wave was way before they demonetized me. My demonetization was different. They demonetized so many Russians at the same time. Sam K. Yeah. Were you going to explain why Prigozhin and Popov were treated differently? Sabine, see, I'm not sure what you mean, how they were treated differently. Well, they're different people. Prigozhin is a felon. He was a loner. He was an independent force, a private army, and Popov is a member of a huge organization, the Armed Forces of Russia. Okay, he's got tons of friends, colleagues. He's got brotherhood, camaraderie. I don't understand the question. They're a completely different situation. Mac Fun, again, thank you. Good evening. Добрый вечер. Tea drinking. Wait and see and drink tea. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support, friend. Much appreciated. The monetary support is much appreciated, but your, messages, words are priceless. Thank you. Danny Meadows, thank you so much. How does amateur radio work in Russia? There's no amateur radio. It doesn't work in Russia. At least there's nothing that I know of. Because radio is media, and there cannot be independent media, amateur media in Russia. Must be controlled by the government. They trying to control the Telegram channels, for goodness sake. So definitely there are no amateur radio stations. Leonard B., thank you so very much again. Ghost, Raz Girls, Raz Grease, One Blaze. Wow, what a name. What effect could this have on unit cohesion along the front lines? Huge. I don't think so much of a unit cohesion as unit morale. It's not good as we speak, and it's going to get even worse. They're going to get angry, and they will start looking the other direction, okay? They clearly understand now, but that the enemies are not Ukrainians. There are no Nazis in Ukraine, there's no threat coming from Ukraine to Russia, okay? But they understand, but the threat is coming from the east, not from the west. And to the east, to Moscow, to the Kremlin, that's not good. Thank goodness. No pun intended. I'm not sure what you mean, Harvey. More Indians to make it, taking on another 10,000 just cause K likes it. English, twining extra strong, 5. Leave T strong. Harvey, I'm sorry. My English is not good enough to understand the profound meaning of this phrase. KG1, worrying reports today of 100,000 Russian troops building to push through Kharkiv Oblast region. I will believe it when I see it. I'm not a military expert, but I have hard time believing that Russian troops are capable of making huge breakthrough. Where did they get 100,000 Russian troops from, after all? Because it's clear that there's no troop rotation at the front lines. So where did extra 100,000 people come from? Bobby Coddle, thank you so much for your support. No message, but this message is pretty darn powerful. Thank you so very much. Someone says that I am slow speaking and I should be listened at the speed, double speed. Well, not only I am not a fast talker, I also read through comments and that slows me down a little bit, so please bear with me. Missouri Moeller, thank you for your support. And there's a question. On the day your apartment complex was hit by a drone, it was later reported the drone strikes that day were targeting homes of FSB agents. Thoughts? Well, there's certainly no FSB agents living in my apartment and in my area. There were 3 strikes at the same time. One of the strikes was in the area where indeed not current FSB officers live, but older KGB agents back in the USSR used to live. You see, Moscow is organized in a way where it was being built and certain people were given apartments. For example, the professors lived in the USSR around Moscow State University. Okay, they had not like districts for them. Engineers lived in another place of the city, and KGB agents, officers, they lived in also another part of the city. I don't think that whoever shot the missiles targeted specifically FSB agents' homes, because, I mean, it's not like one apartment and everyone who lives there is from FSB, Perhaps 1 or 2 people live there. But I know quite a few neighbors. I don't know anyone who worked for FSB in my apartment. So they can say whatever they want to, but that's... Claudio Stamate, howdy, and thank you very much for supporting. Now you're an instigator to a revolution, lol. Congrats, and you have to become a politician. No, 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 no. I know you don't want to, but you're too good in it. Look, I don't know. I'm not a politician. Being a politician is you gotta possess certain way of thinking. I want to remain honest. I want to remain direct. I want to remain to be able to say what I want to say, what I think. And I think that's not what politicians do. I definitely don't want to go back to Russia. Russians can politicize whatever they want to, but without me. I already returned to Russia once, and you know what? Nothing good happened out of it. Well, there are some good things happened, but in general, I fled. Nice return, huh? Eric, thank you so much for supporting. Generous support. Could Putin get out? Where would he go? North Korea. For some time there were rumors in Russia that Putin was preparing to run. I guess just like Hitler did, or not Hitler, but the top Nazis did in 1945, and they ran supposedly to Argentina. I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but that's the common knowledge. Putin has nowhere to run for one simple reason. Where to? There are only a couple countries that in theory could take him. For example, North Korea or Iran or Venezuela or that's it. 3 countries, or perhaps somewhere in Africa, but he'd have to become, invisible. Let's say Vladimir Putin possesses lots of power right now, lots of riches. What does he do? He takes along some of his valuables. For example, gold, American dollars. He loads up a plane or a couple planes full of money, full of gold, and flies to, let's say, Venezuela. And guess what happens? He lands into Venezuela with his bodyguards. And Maduro provides him with a huge palace and says, Vladimir, that's for you to live. But to keep you safe, I'm going to place very tight security around your palace. And every time you need to get out and go, of course you can, anywhere, but please, my security guards will come with you to keep you safe. And then the minute he does that, Maduro will fly to the United States and say, hey, I have Putin for you. What do you have for me? And American politicians, such great, honest people, they'll say, hey, we will welcome Vlad in the United States. What do you want, Maduro? And Maduro will say, well, I want pardon. I want forgiveness. I want to become a good guy again in the eyes of the Western people. And I want a house, a big mansion in California, and I want to live there for the rest of my life. And I'll say, done. Just give us the Vlad. And the next thing you know, bodyguards of Maduro take Putin and they fly him, send him off to the United States or to Hague or, anywhere the Americans want him. And Putin understands that. He is powerful and strong in Russia, somewhat powerful and strong. But I think that right now he's in mortal danger from his bodyguards, his own bodyguards, because, they have power over him. But if he flies to another country, he gives up all the power. He's powerless. He's just, he doesn't have power at all. He's at mercy of whoever runs that country. And he is a leverage for negotiations with the Americans. Plain and simple. So he will not fly anywhere. He would rather die inside Russia than to fly anywhere because he's going to be facing justice. And I think that's what he wants. Jesus Christ follower, thank you so much for your support. God bless you too. Sending love from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Thank you. Terry Carter from Pulaski, Virginia. Howdy. Amir. Howdy, brother. Have a safe and good drive home. That's quite the gargantuan power plant. You know, I remembered you told me. I linked 2 and 2 together. That's the power plant you told me a long time ago about. Mia Aranges, time is the essence and many lives will be saved. Putin must go. Indeed. Roy Cousins from London. Howdy. Frank in Texas. Have you heard of bombing Odessa ports? I have read the headlines saying, Russian propaganda saying, we carried out revenge. Okay? But I'm not sure how serious Odessa port bombings are, like what happened there. And that's something I have to investigate later today. Danny Meadows. Again, thank you. Bobby, thank you so much. You become an inspiration and an institution. What kind of institution? I understand what inspiration is. I would argue with you on inspiration, but institution, I simply not quite sure what you mean. Eugene, what details of Odessa being bombed by missiles do you hear? I will look up right now, but I only heard the headline, 1 or 2 headlines in the propaganda. We took out our revenge. We bombed Odessa ports. That's all. That's all I know. Not the strike of justice. That's what the Kremlin called it. So they launched 6 missiles caliber and 36 suicide drones, Iranian drones, Shahed. So they were intercepted. One person was wounded in Odessa and couple buildings were hit, but not destroyed, but just hit. Just like I said yesterday, you know, Putin's not going to do anything. He's not going to retaliate. He's weak. He doesn't have any teeth. Thank goodness for that. Because way back when the whole thing started, when the first time they started, they bombed or did they bomb or how to say right? Anyway, they exploded the Crimean Bridge. You remember on October 8th? My first thought was like, oh, they're going to retaliate so bad onto Ukraine. And nothing happened. And now I'm pretty sure they're not going to retaliate at all. So, Eugene, that's Black Cat. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Wayne Gwynn. Wayne, this is song time. And everyone, I give a fair warning. So, if you don't want to go deaf, please cover up your ears because I'm going to sing the birthday song now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wayne. Happy birthday to you. Wishing you many happy returns of the day. Have good health, good wealth, good luck, and lots of love for you. Congratulations. Oh, happy birthday. And Black Cat, thank you so much for giving me the heads up. Airback 820. Yes, you are usual suspect. Eileen, thank you again. Lisa Kumrian, welcome. Long time no see. Hope all is well. We keep on praying for you and we miss you a lot. Thank you for coming back. Jeffrey, yes, I'm not pushing Kostya's buttons if I can help it. Hey, Jeffrey, good to have you back. Mr. Humor. Jeffrey's a great guy, but never take his dating advice, okay? Jason Carney, thank you so much for coming back and continuing being the champion of supporting the super chat champion, the champion of the channel anyway. The champion of the channel. Thank you so very much. From me and from my wife, you are in our talks, and thank you for sponsoring 5 people with a sponsorship, gifting 5 people with a sponsorship. Thank you so very much again. Katharina Holm, will you sing the special hymn I sent you? You're putting me on the spot, So far, I have the guts to sing Happy Birthday. That's it. If you want, I can, make a community post out of it or something, but I'm it's pretty embarrassed to sing it. Okay, thank you so much. Institution in this context means you are an important citizen of the world. Morgan Shadrake, thank you so much for explaining. Okay, understood. Thank you. Second birthday boy, Old Silver. Jodes Rames, I think you will laugh so hard, then you will start crying after that because of laughing so hard. I'm not sure. I missed it. Mammy, Old Silver's happy belated birthday. So we missed the birthday? Sam K, thank you. I think mods will forgive you for that. So, are we singing or not? One more song. Laura B, thank you. For goodness sake. Let's sing again. Old Silver. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Old Silver. Happy belated birthday to you. Wish you many happy returns and all the best. Take cover. Dean Stevens, is this a serious question or are you just trying to troll me a little bit? How do I get my wife out of Rostov? If it is a serious question, then you need to give more details. But it's fairly easy. I mean, Rostov is open right now. All she has to do is get out of Rostov. Harry Potman, 5K viewers and only 2 birthdays today. Eugene Lindsay, What does your 3 closing words mean? Carthago delenda est. Okay. It's fairly easy to explain. Jason Carney, thank you so much for another super chat. Thank you. Look, Roman Republic was at constant war for almost 100 years with Carthage. And there were 3 wars. First Carthaginian War, second and the third. And there was a senator, Roman senator, who every time he spoke in the Senate, he finished anything he spoke about. He finished his words, his speech with 3 words: "Carthago delenda est." Carthage must be destroyed. And that's what I say. Carthago delenda est. I hope you understand. Fudge delenda est. Nicolo, howdy. You know what? I'm explaining the history of your country. I find your country absolutely fascinating, and the Roman history, the Roman ancient Rome history is my hobby. I studied it a lot. I went to Rome specifically to explore and to see the magnificence of it. Basically, we are all Romans because Romans were your ancestors established our civilization. They gave us so much. We're still using Roman law, Roman calendar, Roman months, Roman language, Latin language, Roman measures. Just everything is Roman, basically. The modern world, takes roots in Rome. Quite a bit ancient Greeks gave us, but Romans, we are Romans. And I am absolutely fascinated with Rome, how it was formed, how it developed. I am fascinated with Roman Republic. I am absolutely fascinated how you used democracy, how for the first time in the history of humankind you applied democratic principles, and I'm talking about the Roman Republic, early Republic and mid-Republic. So fantastic. It's unbelievable. Italy and ancient Rome is absolutely unbelievable. Paula W. Well, I just answered. Prayer time. Just give me 1 more minute and we will go praying. Smile is contagious. Absolutely agree. Just unfortunately not too many reasons to smile in the last months. What was your favorite thing to see in Rome? Well, absolutely the Colosseum of the Flavius. Flavius, right? Flavius. The Colosseum, that's the Circus of the Flavius. The Forum was absolutely fascinating. The Trojan Column, it's still standing. 2,000 years, it's still standing. All the remnants of the old buildings, you walk along the Roman statues, the old statues of the, Caesar and the emperors, and it's just fascinating. This part of Rome, the hills, the old part, the old Forum, that blows your mind when you're there. Kai Lerner, what's your greatest wish to happen in the next months? One wish. I wish that the bloodshed is over, that the Russian troops The war is over. Russian troops withdraw to Russia, and Ukraine has peace and starts rebuilding. This is my wish. Compromised. I have a question. In Germany, there's a trauma of inflation because of hyperinflation in the late 20s. Is there any trauma in Russia from collapse of the USSR or any other we should know? You know, I understand what you mean, but I don't think that's trauma. It was a hard time that we went through, very challenging, economically challenging time, but we got over it very quickly. The inflation was not as bad as in Germany, far from it. In the 20s, I studied economics. I know very well what happened in Germany after World War I ended. Russia went through what we called hyperinflation. Every month, prices doubled. And it lasted for a couple years. 91, 92, 93, 94. 94, 95, things started getting better. All right, so I can't say we have this inflation trauma, but in general, times were hard financially. But this is what you have when you have communism replaced with capitalism. You can't just wake up. It's not shoes. You can't take off one shoes and then step into other shoes and just keep on walking. You know, it doesn't work like that. You have two completely different systems. One system was based on ideology, and the ideology, people had been brainwashed for 70 years. You can't just switch into a different system. I think Russians actually overcame this difficulty very fast in 10 years. And by 2000, we start seeing the future. The bright future, the capitalistic future, and everyone started just rushing to that future. And then Putin showed up. Oh. EW 1974, Roman Republic was democracy for the rich and men only. Disagree, but better than Russian government. I disagree. The plebs had representation, and they started building checks and balances, political checks and balances for the first time in the history of humankind. What I can agree with is that the democracy for the rich men only, yes, but that's early republic. Then later republic, the reforms were introduced, and the plebs was made a part of Roman political life. Rome had the first Senate. Agreed. Okay, folks, thank you so very much. Ecoplasma, last question. Assuming generals' mutiny would be successful and the generals would get the power in Russia, what do you think? Would they continue or stop the war? They would stop the war immediately. Because the war is absolutely useless. The war is the invention of Vladimir Putin himself. No one in Russia besides Vladimir Putin wanted this war. It was very clear. It was very obvious. And right now, I think if whatever happens and it's successful, the war is going to be stopped like that. The peace will be agreed on with Ukraine, and the negotiations with the West will take place immediately. They will start negotiating. Because they want their money back, they won't be able to travel to the United States, to France. They want the old good times back. You know, a little too late for that, but they will be trying real hard to get there. Okay, so that's what I think. Thank you so very much, friends. Again, this is my pleasure and my honor. I love live streams, and my best part is conversing with you and answering questions. It gives me motivation to keep on going, gives me reinforcement, gives me understanding that what I do is valued by other people, by you. So thank you so much. Caesar's last super chat. What do you think makes empires, armies, or trade routes? Armies. I mean, trade routes, of course, not armies. Oh, wait, empires. Empires. I think neither. Empires are made by crazy people who want more power and who want to expand, and their egos are huge, and they're just, in general, no good. That's what I think makes empires. At the end of every single stream, I invite everyone to join me in prayer, to pray for people, for Ukrainians, for some Russians, for some people who reach out and ask me to pray for, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm asking everyone to join me to pray. Let's do it. If you're religious, and let's do it. If you're not, just, you can call it whatever you want. Wishing well to people, sending them good vibes, good energy. Just let's do it. Please join me. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful, and give us wisdom to raise our children the way that they will come and do a better job running this world, a better job than we have done. And they will never fight with each other and participate in any kind of wars. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. The country and people suffered so much. Please reach out and touch the hearts of those who are responsible and capable of making this decision to stop the bloodshed, so they wake up from their lethargic sleep and they're just open their eyes, and they will get terrified of what they have done, and they will make the final decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every Ukrainian who has suffered, who has been affected. Please help all Ukrainians who have been affected, answer their prayers, and make their wishes come true. Please soothe their souls and send them, well, help them in a way you know how to help, and in a way that they need help. Please send them angels to keep Ukrainians out of the harm's way. Please help my country, Russia, assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in shining armor, and send that army as heavenly avalanche onto this earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Get rid of them, send them to where they belong, to hell. Please have angels run my country and make it loved and loving again, make it peaceful, respected and respectful. Dear Lord, please help all those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Help those who are seeking for asylum, running away from danger, send help their way. Please help all the women who are single mothers and struggling, making ends meet, raising their children by themselves. Please send help their way. Also, please help all the Ukrainians who are suffering from Russian attacks right now, from the missiles and other attacks. Please help all those who are hungry, sick, homeless, jobless, depressed, addicted, have low self-esteem, not feeling well about themselves. Shine your heavenly light upon all the needy ones and have them surrounded in your love. Have them fill their hearts with your love and surround them with your warmth. So they will feel better about themselves. They will get well. They will get what they want: jobs, shelters, roofs over their heads, food, good health. Their self-esteems will get higher. Everything that they need, please help them get it, so they feel better about themselves, about their lives, and they will have a shot at happiness again. Dear Lord, please send us peaceful skies above our heads, no matter who we are and where we live. Everyone deserves that. Thank you so much. Please help everyone who is not feeling well, who is sick, send recovery. And thank you very much for allowing us to create this community and allow us to come and pray together. Thank you so much for all people who are praying with me. Please answer their prayers. And those who are just watching us prayer, and make everyone's wish come true. I would like to ask you for a few people who need your help. They are Larry, Brittany S., Allison Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Bob, Matt, Umel and Jennifer, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner, his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Grace Philosophy, please send her recovery and shine your heavenly light upon her family. Treasure, Maggie, Vladislav, Sergey, Susie Mailer, Gina Wayfarer, AMS paramedic Liz, Karen from Maine, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Yelena, Natasha, Larry, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Janine, Michael Milkevitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk, Terry, Linda, Lars Henrik and his mother, Angelic at Life, Richard Burris, and Scan family's grandson, Barb, Randolph, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade, Kaltenberg, Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Jen Allen, Finola, The Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Chorizo and family, and David Porter and family, Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Buzz Salmon, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Terry Carter, Joe and Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, Deanna F., Bree's friend, Kaltenberg, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel, Life, Karine Vasseur, Pamela J., Daniel, Lindsay, Frank in Texas, Jeffrey S., please send speedy recovery, Nina, Margaret, Linda Trombley, Eugene and Lindsay's daughter, RT Per, Sarah Strokes, James Gens, China Bill, Yorkie Mom, Janine, Nina, Julia Haney, Hannah, Paul, Vasilin Lubomirov, Susie Mailer, Heather, Gloria Roberts and her brother, Greg, Jim and Shirley Hall, Ann Larson, her family and daughter Hannah, Delaney and two daughters, Florentina, Max family, Patty L., Sherry Morin, CKOC, Amir's uncle Dickie, Liz Dumbrell and her family, Ripted, daughter of Aspen English, Ruth, the friend of Darla, Alona and her boys. Please help Ruth with her leg problem. Paul, Susan, Rudy Kaisley, Darla, Bib, Paula McDonald, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Dave Strains, and Pam. Dear Lord, also please help special children. They are Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Coulter, Theo, Muddy, Ava, Ansley, and Karine Vassar's niece. Please send them recovery and help their families to get through hard times. Also, please help all the children from Ukraine and Russia who have been affected by the terrible tragedy, and please help everyone, every single child who is not feeling well right now, send recovery and help their parents to get through the hard time. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you very much for coming, giving me a chance to deliver my message, conversing and praying. You're absolutely awesome and you rock. You're the best community on internet, and I'm absolutely honored to have you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before I sign off, I'd like to invite you for tomorrow's message. It's going to be an interesting one. And before I say the last word, I usually ask everyone to say along with me, as loud as you can, please. The usual. Carthago delenda est.